What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in. It's 1TS Daily live right here at One True Sport. How's it going? Happy Monday. It's November 26th, 2024. It is Thanksgiving week. I hope that everyone is finding a way to slow it down on this Monday morning. Hopefully the job is quieting as we go into into the holiday. And hopefully everybody had a really good weekend. Everybody had a good weekend. We had a lot of wrestling and some very, very newsworthy wrestling, which we will get into on our show. But first and foremost, thank you all so much for being here. Man, appreciate it. Glad to see everyone here this morning. If you're watching on YouTube, hello. Make sure to like this video if you can. It helps us out greatly. Just growing the show and growing our little community here, and certainly appreciate it. Thank you in advance. If you're watching on Twitter X, hello to those who are watching on Twitter X. You guys know how to like stuff. It's that little heart, you know. Everyone likes the heart. Hit the heart button. Appreciate that as well. The live chat is open and rolling. That's always good to see. So hello to Sean, who's in there and says, "What up, Zach? Another tough loss, but Caleb looked pretty good." Oh, man. Boy, Sean, you know, it's a good thing that Caleb looks okay. Otherwise, these losses would just be, I mean, these are devastating. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. A sad Chicago Bears fan. And yes, Caleb looked good, but they lost. Bad teams lose those games, you know? You know what I mean? They just do. As soon as it went in overtime, I was like, oh, great. We're going to get a win. Or like, it's exciting, but probably not going to win this one. And ergo, that's what happened. But Sean, you know what? Thanks for being here, man. Your Packers certainly look good. They had to feel good whomping on the 49ers yesterday. Because frankly, the 49ers have given the Packers the business for a while. So that had to feel nice. Eddie is in the chat. Eddie says, good morning. What's up, Eddie? Thanks so much for being here. Amy says, how was Full Gear? Oh, we're going to talk about Full Gear. We are going to talk all about Full Gear. So Amy, thanks so much for being here. The boss says, good morning. Boom, boom. Are you is that your Big Boom AJ impression? Costco guy impression, boss? I hope so. I hope we're doing those impressions now. Oh goodness, that was madness in its own way. Let's start there just because it's fun. So they had the QT Marshall versus Big Boom AJ match. It was what it was, right? I honestly think that it was like pretty well done. AJ is an over babyface. I mean, does Ricochet need to take some advice from AJ on how to get over as a babyface? Oh man, I can't believe I said that out loud. I don't want to be that guy, but like, it's not good that Big Boom AJ is one of your most over babyfaces on the show. It just isn't. You don't want that, even though it made for a good match. It speaks to some other issues inside of your company, and I think that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at on that match. Not bad, but boy, it certainly had its issues. Hang on a second here. We got to get the Starbucks plug in. Remember, we're on a quest. We're on a quest for Starbucks to sponsor this show. So I gotta get the product placement in there. Here we go. Look at that Christmas cup. All right. So here's on the agenda today. We're going to talk about AEW Full Gear. We just kind of did. We're going to talk about tonight's episode of Raw and some news that came over the weekend regarding a fifth man on Team Bloodline for Survivor Series and some other things as well. So let's start with Full Gear, and that's what everybody's talking about in the chat. So I definitely want to get in on that. The biggest news coming out of Full Gear for me is the fact that Kyle Fletcher not only beat Will Ospreay, but beat him cleanly. Like no Don Callis family, no no screwdriver, like nothing like that. Nothing like that. It all just went Fletcher's way. And here's the thing. Like I've got real quick, let me back up. Ospreay versus Fletcher was a fantastic match. I mean, an excellent match. Over at Brass Ring Media, we just published my match ratings for that show for Full Gear, and I got it at 4 3/4 stars. Like I thought it was a really state of the art match between two state of the art wrestlers, and that you can only see in AEW. I mean, that is like one of the selling points of AEW is you get those kind of matches in there, and I think they need to build around that more. The Will Ospreay singles match, right? Like make sure seeing him in the ring in a singles match is something you need to pay to see. Now, that said, it was a great match. But Kyle Fletcher beat Will Ospreay clean. Will Ospreay is the biggest star in the company, right? I mean, maybe Jon Moxley now at this point because he's got that new kind of gimmick going on, but 1B is Will Ospreay, and Kyle Fletcher just beat him clean. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that, provided smart things happen next. Look, if you put Kyle Fletcher over, if you put him over the way that you put him over Ospreay, you need to be in the Kyle Fletcher business. Like that's the business that you're in at this point. That's the decision you made if you put Kyle Fletcher over in that match. Now, I'm not saying he needs to be, champion tomorrow, but he now needs to factor into your plans as a top guy for the next 2 years. Like that makes this booking smart because it gives him a big win, it gives him momentum, and then you roll with that momentum. If that's what happens, all right, let's do it. That's business. That's business, and it's smart for AEW to pick those guys, build around those guys, and go. The issue that I have is that we have not seen Tony Khan and AEW do this with stars that get big wins. I mean, like Private Party are the tag team champions now, but 5 years ago, they beat the Young Bucks, early in AEW's time. And it was signified and it was talked about as this big, big win. And then nothing happens. Nothing happens with it. Daniel Garcia has got some decent traction. Nothing happens with him. And so you just have these start and stop pushes for all these guys who quote unquote get big wins, and you don't get anything out of those big wins, and the big wins are meaningless inside of your company's narrative structure, right? So you can't have that. You can't have that. So look, if Tony Khan's all in on Kyle Fletcher, and in 12 months he is a top heel, and he's wrestling in main events, and he's drawing money as a top heel, and he's working other top baby faces, okay, I think you can look back at this and go, this was the smart move. This was the right call. If that doesn't happen, then you really need to look at how you're booking your top guys. Because if you're not going to go with Kyle Fletcher here, it makes no sense for current top guy Will Ospreay to put him over the way that he did. That's not what top guys usually do in companies. I mean, look, sometimes you just have to let top guys be top guys, and that means winning matches. That means being featured. That means not losing. That means winning titles, right? Sometimes that's what it means, and sometimes you got to let stars be stars. I certainly think that there is an angle where you would have just had Will Ospreay win against Kyle Fletcher. especially if you're not sold on Fletcher. But it can't be both ways. It can't be, all right, we're going to give Fletcher this win because we want to give him a little something, but then really like not go with him. Because all it does is water down Will Ospreay in the end. And it won't happen overnight. It won't happen in a week or a month. But if Ospreay is constantly in this position, he's lost to Swerve Strickland already. He's lost to now Kyle Fletcher already. If he's constantly in that spot where you use him as a top guy to like make potential other top guys, but you never go with those other potential top guys, you have a mess on your hands. You have an absolute mess on your hands, period. And you can't have that here. You can't have that here. So you have to go one way or the other. And they went Fletcher, and now you're in that business. And now he needs momentum, he needs constant attention, and you go now. And by go, by the way, I don't mean all right, he's gonna get a run with the TNT championship, or he's gonna, win the international championship at some point. No, I mean, I'm talking like world title level. That's what you did, for better or worse, by putting him over Will Ospreay. Let's just be clear about that. Again, I love the match. I thought the match was just fantastic. I think there was an art when it happened, and they did the pile driver spot on the stairs. My thought was, whoa, they really need to like end the match there. I mean, pile driver on the steel steps, and you're going to keep going. But to their credit, they had something bigger in mind, and they built to that big brainbuster spot on the turnbuckle that was just looked absolutely vicious. So, hey, good on them. Good on them. I thought the match worked really well. But you are in the Kyle Fletcher business now, for better or worse. Go with him. Make sure that you get the most out of this booking decision. That's the key. That is the key. Let's go to the chat here a little bit on this match. Let's see here. Sean says here, I do like that Fletcher won clean, but I wouldn't have gone that route. Zach, is he now the biggest star after losing to Fletcher, he being Will Ospreay? Well, I mean, I think he still is. Like, one loss, Sean, I don't think is going to do it. And again, you like these top guys like Ospreay, like Swerve, they can lose in certain situations, that help out of the company and make other stars, or at least help to do that. You can afford that once in a while. But the key is getting the most out of it. And to this point, they just haven't. Konosuke Takeshita has beaten Kenny Omega twice. And they haven't gotten anything out of that. Orange Cassidy has beaten Jon Moxley. Haven't gotten much out of that either, So the proof is not in the pudding for this with AEW. And they got another swing here. We'll see what happens. Eddie says here, Fletcher isn't a top guy in any other promotion. Well, hey, maybe not. Yeah, I don't think right now in WWE, Kyle Fletcher is a top guy. I mean, obviously not. Right? I mean, come on. He's just not. They've got all sorts of talent flying around that company that are at a higher level than him. In AEW, I think he could be. I don't think you have that level of talent flying around everywhere. So yes, I think you're right. He's not a top guy in any other promotion, but sometimes you just need to look at the promotion that he's in. And in this case, I think he could be. Look, it's all that. That's kind of Eddie, I would say that's a bit of I don't say unfair, but it's a bit of a premise that I just don't agree with. Because yeah, like a top guy like Nick Nemeth is a top guy in TNA. Well, yeah, he can be a top guy in TNA. He's not going to be a top guy in AEW. He's not going to be a top guy in WWE. There are independent stars who are top guys in their promotion, but of course wouldn't be a top guy in TNA. So there's shades of gray there. It's all a matter of perspective when you have that conversation. But the bottom line is he's in AEW. and he can be a top guy in AEW, I think, and he can be a homegrown guy in AEW. That's important too. So, go with it. Go with it. My argument on this show and my other shows has been from the very beginning, like AEW's got to pick guys and go with them, whoever it is. I talked about this with Wade Keller last week on his flagship show. You can check it out, pwtorch.com. Whether it's Will Ospreay or Swerve or Bobby Lashley or Hologram or whoever, whatever, you got to pick a guy and go with him. You got to build stars. And so if this is the start of that, that's good. That's good for the company. That's good for Tony Khan. That's good for Kyle Fletcher, obviously, because he's the guy. So we'll see. All right, the other major story coming out of Full Gear is Jon Moxley defeating Orange Cassidy in the main event. No surprise there. I do think the match was good. I do think the match did its job of cultivating a potential interest in Cassidy winning, casting a little doubt on the inevitability that Moxley was going to win. It accomplished that. That is not something that is a foregone conclusion, and I think they got there. I think the audience was invested in Cassidy winning by the time everything was said and done. Now, and the match was really good too. I liked the brutalness of it. I liked the viciousness of Moxley. I thought that was an important point to drive home. Was he's vicious, he's brutal, and I think Cassidy is like one of the best talents on the roster to sell that for Moxley. Like there's just something there with him. It's the way he takes those Moxley forearms, like they're so brutal, but they're tremendously effective in showcasing the fact that Moxley is just this like lethal killer. So I like the match. Sean did not. Sean says here, the match wasn't good, and the end was so convoluted. Yuta doesn't need to interfere. And also, it was hard to get behind Cassidy after what happened on Wednesday. Yeah, no, that's fair. It was. But I think the audience, whether you did or I did, I think the audience did in the building. And that helped the match. Like one of the things we said in the preview show right here on 1TS Daily on Friday was you had to have the audience invested. If you didn't, like the match really would have fell flat. And I thought they did. Overall. The ending was a convoluted mess. I mean, there's no question about that. I don't mind the Wheeler interference, Sean, because that's part of Moxley. Like you want that hypocrisy to be there with him as a heel, right? You need to have him out there talking about how he's this badass guy, how he's going to change AEW into his vision. You need that. You need that there, but you also need the hypocrisy of that, where it's not just him. It's not just him changing things. It's him and his goons, right? It's him cheating. Like you have to have that as a heel, I think, in order for this to even kind of work. And I don't think it's working fully yet, but in order to get there, to me, you absolutely have to have that heelish stuff happen, or otherwise Moxley's just going to come across as way too cool and too likable. So I didn't mind the Wheeler Yuta interference. But the post-match stuff, whew, boy, that's wild. So Adam Page comes out at the end, confronts Moxley. Are we supposed to think that like Page is like kind of wanting to maybe join Moxley and join the Death Riders? I mean, that would be intriguing. I think that'd be a pretty cool twist. And then Christian Cage comes out and he teases like he's going to cash in his contract, which I guess officially now is like a Money in the Bank style contract. And then Jay White comes out and beats up on Christian Cage, prevents him from cashing in, only to get beat up by the Death Riders himself. So I think we're on the way to a Jay White, Jon Moxley match, which I always thought would be excellent. Like, that is a fun match. I think a lot of people want to see that match. And so, I'd be looking at Revolution for that one. Or maybe even sooner than that. There's a winners coming episode of Dynamite coming up. Like, I think you could get to that pretty quick, and that'd be very intriguing. But then at the end, you have Darby Allin like speed in a car as they're walking outside, and then he tries to, hit all the Death Riders with said car. He runs into the truck that they drive in, and then Darby stands tall. So he's in charge. He's in line for a title match. I'm with Sean on this in the live chat. Sean says, how could Darby be a main event guy after getting destroyed by mid-card Claudio? Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if and I said this on the show at the time, on last Thursday when we reviewed Dynamite, it's like, top guys don't do those jobs, right? He lost clean to Claudio, right? Am I remembering that right? I mean, he lost clean there. So it's like, what are we doing now? I don't know. But that ending, it was just way too much. It's Christian Cage involved. It's Jay White and Christian Cage. It's Jay White and the Death Riders. Jay White and Moxley. Page and Moxley. Page and White. There was a Page and Cage crossover. Like, it was just a mess. Just a mess. All of that could happen on Dynamite. Could happen on like 3 Dynamites. Let the moment breathe. Let Moxley just win the title, or retain the title, stand tall. That's it. Simple. This was too cute and too convoluted, as Sean put it. All right. Also on Full Gear, real quick, couple run-through items. Bobby Lashley, good showing against Swerve Strickland. I like that match. I thought it was a match that wasn't overly, AEW in style, and I thought it stood out because it didn't try to be Takeshita and Ricochet. It was its own thing. It took a while to get going, but I thought it was good in the end. Obviously, Lashley goes over, and hey, that's smart. You had to do that. And I think Swerve was fine. And I don't think this is the last match between those guys either. So that was good. MJF, Roderick Strong. Whoa. Someone's got to take a step back. And go, all right, what are we doing with MJF? Because nobody cared about that match with Roderick Strong. Nobody cares about the ensuing feud with Adam Cole. Adam Cole is off doing his thing with the Undisputed, whatever, and it's bad. It's all bad. And what did Adam Cole do that was so wrong in terms of Kyle O'Reilly's eyes? He ran out there to make the save on his buddy. O'Reilly didn't do that. and this notion that, like, oh, Adam Cole, you're putting Roderick Strong at risk. He's a pro wrestler. He's a pro wrestler that lost a match. Like, okay, that happens. There's nothing egregious about that. He's not putting Roddy in harm's way, as Kyle O'Reilly put it. It's just a dumb storyline with a dumb execution and just is bad all around. And both MJF and Adam Cole are sucked into it, and they're not making it any better. So this was the worst match on the card, I thought, by far. And then, special hat tip to Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander. Terrible build to their match. No question about it. But, boy, they had a heck of a match. Really, really good stuff for Mercedes Moné. She needed to have that match, and she needed it to be good, and she had it, and she brought Chris Statlander along. Chris Statlander's best match ever, as far as I'm concerned. And, thumbs up on that. If you want more on Full Gear, you can go over to Brass Ring Media on Substack, and you can read my full review with match ratings right now. Head over Brass Ring Media Substack. If you're watching live, just head over. Just open up another window. Do it. Brass Ring Media Substack. It's free to subscribe, and you can check out more of my detailed report and review of Full Gear. Cool? Awesome. All right, tonight on Raw, we've got a handful of matches announced. We've got New Day versus Alpha Academy, LWO versus American Made in a Tornado Tag Team match. Braun Breaker is going to face Ludwig Kaiser after Kaiser cost or actually attacked him and interrupted his match with Sheamus last week. And then Nia Jax will wrestle Bianca Belair to determine who gets the advantage in their War Games match at Survivor Series, which is less than a week away. So that's Raw. I'm real curious about this Braun Breaker Ludwig Kaiser match. I mean, Kaiser has been a heel, then he was a face, then he was a heel, and now he's like a face again. This is like very bizarre to present a top up and coming act the way they are. So I'm curious to see what they do and where they go. Nia Jax and Bianca Belair to determine the War Games advantage. I mean, this should go to the heels, right? I mean, War Games works better when the heels have the advantage. So here's the hope, and Nia Jax wins that. We'll cover Raw tomorrow live on the show. So if you miss it, or if you just want to hang out and discuss it tomorrow, right here, One TS Daily, we'll talk about the show. All right, and then the big news element from the weekend: CM Punk is back. He's on SmackDown, at least for the time being. Paul Heyman returns to SmackDown as well and announces Punk as the 5th member to Team Original Bloodline for War Games at Survivor Series. What do you guys think of this? This surprised me quite a bit. I was surprised that they went this route for a couple of reasons. One just being, I thought, the first time you have Reigns and Punk in the ring together, you want them to be not necessarily good guy, bad guy, but adversaries. And now they're on the same team. So I think, so I was just surprised to see them kind of pull the trigger on this, especially with Bronson Reed in the match. It made perfect sense for Seth to be that guy, but I like the fact that Seth is sticking to his guns here. I think that's a positive turn of events. If you're, if you're WWE writing, you want to have some consistency with your characters. And so I'm glad that Seth didn't just go, okay, I'll join him. And it makes sense for Punk to be the guy. It makes sense for Heyman coming back, bringing this guy in to get the job done. And then you also have all this nuance everywhere. You had Heyman kind of dressing up like Solo. You have Heyman and Punk like really tight. You have, I guess, potential dissension with Heyman and Roman Reigns because, Roman Reigns couldn't make that call last week. Why not? So there's all this stuff that's up in the air as far as how the relationship with Punk is going to affect Roman Reigns. So this is good. This is good in my opinion, and I'm excited to see where it goes. They got a week to kind of build it up. We don't have any indication that CM Punk is going to be on Raw tonight, although I wouldn't doubt it, given that they have played out some of this bloodline versus bloodline stuff on Raw. So we'll see. We'll see what they do. But I thought it was a really good, really fun segment. Sean agrees. Sean says that was a really fun end to the show Friday. They can keep adding layers and Punk eventually turns heel. It's amazing what they have done with that story. Good stuff. Eddie says here, I was surprised. I thought Brock was going to be the 5th guy. Brock's not in a good spot right now. He's just, not. There's, all the allegations with him and his involvement and everything with Vince McMahon, and I don't think they need Brock Lesnar. I just don't think they do. And I don't think they're going to touch him with a 10-foot pole for quite some time. And maybe not ever again. That's the 30-minute mark, guys. Whew, wow. Time flies. Time really does fly. Thanks so much for being here. Reminder once again to check out my work at Brass Ring Media. Brass Ring Media on Substack. We also have a YouTube channel where we are live almost every day of the week with specialty shows. This week will be a little different with Thanksgiving and whatnot, but plenty of content still up at Brass Ring Media, both written on Substack and on YouTube. Check it out. Tomorrow we'll have a look at Monday Night Raw and so much more. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks to Sean. Thanks to Eddie. Thanks to Boss. Thanks to Amy and everybody else who joined us in the live chat. It's always good to see you live chatters in there. Makes the show really fun. Makes it fly by. If you're watching on YouTube, hit like. Appreciate that. And we will see you tomorrow right here, 11 Eastern, 1TS Daily at One True Sport. I'm Zack Heydorn. Have a great Monday. See ya.